Welcome, friends, it's the MovieFilm Podcast. MovieFilm Podcast, enjoy the show. Zaki and Brian are talking about movies. MovieFilm Podcast on the radio.
Welcome to MovieFilm. This is episode 107, brought to you by Mr. Boy Productions. My name is Zaki Hassan, and joining me, as always, is my partner in crime, Brian Hall.
Konnichiwa.
Wow. Is that a different language that you're speaking, Brian?
Yes.
I feel like there's a story behind that other language that you're speaking.
What? No. I'm just speaking Japanese for, just a little toss-off thing at the beginning, try to be kind of cute. Oh, and I just got back from Japan.
Okay. So the election happens, and the first thing you did was turn tail and run as far away to the other side of the world as you could.
Right, exactly.
I begged you to take me with you.
Yeah. And, I was like, dude, traveling in my luggage is totally a normal thing. Just get in.
Just get in. You've heard of Flat Stanley. I was Flat Zaki.
That's good. Good reference. Don't talk about too much of that. It's not very movie related. But, yeah, I was in Japan on vacation with my brother and a friend and had a really great time over there. It was pretty cool. So just got back, and I'm still sort of in the whole jet laggy phase of things, but that has allowed for me, between having 2 13-hour plane rides and not being able to sleep, that has given me a lot of time to watch movies. So,
well, and given that that is the topic of this show, that's a good problem to have.
Yeah. Well, starting off, the one I'll talk about briefest is I saw Keanu finally, which I really wanted to see because I love Key and Peele so much.
Keanu the movie, not Keanu the person.
Yeah, I did not see him as I saw Keanu on a plane. Yeah, that's funny, but that could be a confusing sentence. But
because you were in Japan, right, and he was in that samurai movie.
That's right. What was that even called? Man, that thing just kind of was.
Was it 13 Samurai? 13 Ronin?
Oh, right. Ronin.
It's some
Ronin.
number, or an indeterminate number of Ronin.
Yeah. Anyway, I saw that at like a $2 theater, and I didn't hate it. So there's that.
It was worth the $2 you paid.
Yeah, it was just a whatever movie. But Keanu, I'd heard a lot of sort of mixed things on this, and I would say that if I had gone with high excitement and paid $15 at the theater, I would have probably been a little let down as well. Mm-hmm. But watching on the plane, I thought it was fine. So, and I saw that I think it's debuting on HBO this weekend. So, total HBO movie. Like, it's, harmless. It doesn't rise to heights that you would hope, perhaps, for a theatrical, something they probably had a ton of time to polish. But at the same time, like, I laughed. every now and then.
See, that's a movie that, had it been better, I would have been more disappointed that it didn't do better.
Yeah, sure.
Like, because it's not even like an Anchorman or a Zoolander or something that, like, well, I don't know how Anchorman did, but certainly Zoolander was more of a cult item,
right.
And this is not that. It's just not as funny as you want it to be.
Yeah, at least not as many laughs per minute, or some of the laughs are a little, for people that did this show that was so continually unexpected and funny and fresh and sort of creative. Some of it just feels like, oh, okay, like you expect something a little bit more surprising from them at times, right? But at the same time, I totally did laugh.
I mean, there's definitely a handful of very solid laughs in there.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, but yeah, it was the perfect airplane movie.
There you go.
And on that note, I also saw the remake of Ben-Hur, which my brother and I were both like, we kind of want to see this, right? It seems like something we should like. Regardless of the whole how you feel about remaking Ben-Hur, but just
now, I can't remember. Have you've seen the original Ben-Hur?
Yes, and it's not something I've seen a million times, so it's sort of like etched in my brain. Like, I've seen 10 Commandments a million times. I know that one backwards, forwards, but like, I thought it's a movie that I like. I don't recall it very well, but Ben-Hur, the remake, it was one of those things where we were like, well, we are literally trapped in a seat for 13 hours. Like, let's cue it up. And, it's not as terrible as you think, but it's also just very average.
Just utterly unnecessary.
Yes, very unnecessary. And it's interesting, though. I mean, the director, Timur Bekmambetov, I believe? Membetov, who did Wanted, which I didn't really like an overly stylized action movie. And then he did Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, which I actually did kind of like. But that was...
Me too.
And that is what it is, right? Like, that's just this silly, whatever.
It's kind of a farcical...
Yeah, like Abraham Lincoln is like a axe-wielding vampire hunter, and it's stylized, and it should be stylized. I mean, that's what it is.
Right.
But I was happy to see that... When I remember when it was announced that he was going to do Ben-Hur directed, I was like, what? Like, I was picturing already this chariot race with the speed
You could see
ramping.
what it looked like.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it wasn't that at all. Okay. I mean, they play it pretty straight, and the chariot race is very impressive and shot really well. Noticeably not shaky cam, I thought, which was really interesting, and geography was handled really well. I was like, oh, wow. I mean, it had a lot of promise. But unfortunately, just the story, it was just fine, Like, I found myself paying attention because I had nowhere else to go, but it wasn't anything that really got its hooks in me necessarily.
I mean, I think the problem, and I have not seen the film, so let me couch whatever I'm going to say in that. But the problem I see is manifold. Number one, you're remaking one of the most Oscar-winningest movies of all time.
Right.
I mean, up until Titanic, it had the record for most wins by a single film.
Right.
And I think Titanic tied it, so I mean it's never been beaten.
Oh,
right?
wow.
And then above and beyond that, so it already has this extraordinary prestige. But above and beyond that, the framework of that story has been seen countless times in films like Gladiator and The Count of Monte Cristo, and I mean the story is a very familiar one.
Yes.
So it's like you've already got two strikes against you. And then you say, all right, well, who is your Charlton Heston? Right?
Yeah.
And this is no slight on Jack Huston, who is fine. Like, he's a totally fine actor, but he's no Chuck Heston.
Right.
So it feels like a low-rent version of a resurrected IP.
Right. I completely agree with that. And my brother and I, one of his favorite movies is Gladiator. And we had just watched, he showed it to me again recently because I hadn't seen it in years and years, maybe since it first came out on DVD. And I mean, that movie holds up. It's just a solid story. Russell Crowe is a solid, compelling lead character, or lead actor. And like you say, I mean, the stories are very similar. And sometimes you wonder, and this is no slight against Ben-Hur because I thought it was competent. It was fine. Right. But like, some people take the same instruments, they take a script and they take a camera and whatever, and they just make magic.
Right.
And some people do pretty well, and some people make something that sticks with you for years and years and years. And sometimes you can put your finger on it, sometimes you can't. But this just didn't have that magic,
Yeah.
So, yeah,
that's a shame.
Yeah, I don't even know that I would recommend it. There's probably something else you could watch.
I mean, but tell me what you're saying was not entirely predictable the minute this movie was announced.
Yeah, I would say it was probably exactly what I expected because I didn't think it looked terrible. I just had no interest in it.
Sure.
And I would say that's about it. It's not terrible, but it's not really that interesting either.
There you go. So skip it.
Yeah. But and then at the same time, sticking with the whole Japan trip movie theme here. So one night, my friends and I went into a bar, and one of the friend who was with us, she spoke Japanese. So a lot of places we were able to have, more than sort of basic conversation, hello, how are you, sort of things. Like, she was able to sort of communicate for the both of us. And we asked this bartender, what was. Because we said that we love movies and work and entertainment and whatnot, and he said, I just saw the new Godzilla movie and I really loved it. And so we're like, I'd heard of it. It's called Shin Godzilla. And so then when we're getting on the plane again, I got about 13 hours and looking through the movies, and I saw that Shin Godzilla was one of the options. I was like, well, I gotta watch it. And have you heard of it? That there was?
I've heard of it. I don't know much about it though.
Yeah, and I don't even know what the whole release is here in the States, but this is like a...
It has been released in some theaters.
Okay, yeah. I mean, this is like a Japanese produced Godzilla
I mean, it's
film.
a Japanese Godzilla movie, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, I believe it's a man in a suit.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's enhanced, I'm sure, in some ways. But, I mean, I have to say, the effects are really impressive.
Is this the first time you've seen, like, a recent Japanese Godzilla movie? Or any Japanese Godzilla movie, for that matter?
Yes. Yeah, I guess that's worth noting. I'm not a huge Godzilla guy, to be honest.
I mean, most people aren't, and that's not to... I'm not trying to minimize people who are fans, but I mean, it's a pretty select fraternity, you know?
Yeah. Maybe just because I listen to so many entertainment podcasts and whatnot, it makes me feel like I'm in some sort of minority, but apparently, yeah, that's probably not the case. But
I mean, I think when it comes to Godzilla, I think you and I are probably the majority, which is everyone's heard of Godzilla and seen at least one movie, be it the Roland Emmerich one or this Gareth Edwards one or a Japanese one.
Right.
You know.
But I have to say that the mixing of, like, you know, the practical effects, and I mean, when he like tears through the city, it looks great. Okay. You know, I'm sure if it was all CGI enhanced, or if it was just all straight CGI, it would look, perhaps they could add more detail or make it look more spectacular, but it would also have that sort of CGI flatness to it. Mm-hmm. And there was something just really, when that was what was presented, like, this is the reality we're giving you, you were able to tune yourself to that and, you know, accept that version of special effect that they were giving you. And I was really, truly impressed with it. And it's interesting, too, because half of the movie is, like, all about the bureaucracy, you know, of how a prime minister and all these other people would handle such a thing. Like, there's rooms of, like, or I'm sorry, there's scenes of, like, rooms being set up with laptops because, like, all these people are going to arrive and everyone needs a computer, and, like, just things you wouldn't think about, and how they scientifically figure out what this creature is, where it came from, and how they can stop it. You know, it's not just a matter of shooting at it. You know, it's like, well, we've got to coagulate its blood. And, you know, it's
so let me ask you. So this is a reboot. This is like the first.
In this world, they don't know what Godzilla is.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is. There have been, like, I don't even know how many Godzilla movies, like 30 or something crazy, and essentially what each of these films does is they'll do, like, a whole run. And then they'll end that series, and then they'll let it lay fallow for a few years, and then they bring it back from zero.
Right.
And they've done this. This now would be like the fourth time they've done this.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, and it was a lot of fun. Like I said, I mean, the first half, I was surprised how much time we spent in boardrooms, you know, with, like I say, like, bureaucrats and scientists and whatnot. But it was all pretty compelling, and the editing was really fascinating to watch a movie made for a different country by people from a different country and observe the editing. I mean, it is very, like, the tempo is so different, and it's very matter of fact. And it's also interesting where whenever someone speaks, it always cuts to a shot of them. So it was like there were hardly any master shots, you know? Or at least, and that's not necessarily true. There was hardly any shots of two people in one frame talking to each other. Like, it always cut to one person, then the other person would talk and cut to them, then the third person would, and I was like, how many setups did this movie have? Like,
wow.
Shooting all these
That's
people,
really
possibly, and lighting them just for, like, one sentence. It was kind of interesting.
So here's my question.
Yeah.
How would you stack it up against the Warner Brothers Gareth Edwards movie?
That is, I actually did think about that. I think most people would probably prefer the Gareth Edwards one.
Okay.
And maybe I might even too, in some ways, because it's my Americanness, you know, with American films and what I'm sort of used to. But the way that it sort of focuses on the characters and you get to know them and then you put them through the situation. In this one, you really never got to know anybody. It's very matter of fact, and you're just kind of shown, this is the person who does this. And you revisit them, but you never get to know them. But that said, I really loved, and I think a big complaint about the Gareth Edwards one was that Godzilla felt like a cameo in his own movie.
Yeah.
And in this one, he doesn't show up for a while, and then you leave him for a while, but then at the end, I mean, they just, like, let it rip. Like, it's hilarious, actually. And this isn't spoiling anything. I mean, they basically just figure out, you know, shoot missiles at him and whatnot. But it reminded me of a kid with a Godzilla toy and, like, a bunch of trains and trucks, and they're just like, how about we put bombs on trains and we'll have 5 trains go at him, and then so they try that in the movie, and it just felt like all these fun, crazy ideas a kid would think of how to stop Godzilla, and it was really like the last 30 minutes especially were really, really fun.
Nice. So you would recommend it, Shin Godzilla?
I would. I wouldn't say it's for everybody. If you think it's not for you, it's not.
If the title sounds like something that's not for you.
Yeah, but if what I just said sounds fun, like I think you would like it.
Okay.
So, yeah. And then we're going to talk about 2 more movies that I saw, but one of them overlaps with you. But one more I'll talk about, which you already talked about, was Deepwater Horizon, which was one of those movies that was interesting because it didn't really appeal to me when I was seeing trailers and whatnot, only because, and I should say this is about the true story back in 2010 when offshore oil rig exploded basically, and all these workers had to figure out how to get off. So true story, directed by Peter Berg, starring Mark Wahlberg. This
is the second of the Berg-Wahlberg trilogy of true stories.
Yes, and that was I'm not going to say a turnoff. It wasn't a turnoff. It just didn't catch my eye. I was just like, okay, sure, like it's one of those stories.
Yeah.
But then I heard that you thought it was really good, and I'd heard other people say that it was.
I actually haven't seen it.
Oh, I thought. Oh, all right. Well, I take that back. I thought it was one of those things. I was hearing so many people say that they saw it and no one else. It was going under the radar. It was like this surprisingly good movie that people were ignoring, and it didn't even really make all that much money.
Right.
Man, that's so funny. I thought you had.
Yeah, but, no, I missed it. Yeah.
But yeah, I have to say it was. I'm not gonna say better than I expected because I didn't think it wasn't going to be good, but it was. It was captivating, and I enjoyed it. And it does have that sort of boilerplate, true story thing where you got to set up him and his wife, and they have like an amazing romantic life, and they have this small talk that feels like a screenwriter wrote it, but it's cute. You know what I mean? And then he meets his buddies at the oil rig, and everyone's friends and has inside jokes, and you have to kind of endure that for about 30 minutes or so.
As you wait for what the title promises to finally
right. But it's, you know what I mean? That sort of stilted, everybody has a natural relationship here scenes, stuff. But once you get past that and you get into the disaster, I mean, it was handled really...
So how long before Wahlberg is like, what the hell's going on here?
That is like literally what happens. Maybe 40 minutes.
Okay.
Maybe a little bit more than that, actually. But it's fine. I mean, Wahlberg, as easy as it is to sort of do impersonations of him and joke about him, and I do. I mean, he's a fun lead. And
I think Mark Wahlberg is a dependable.
Totally.
Like, you know what you're going to get from him, and it's usually an acceptable range.
Totally. Yeah, I mean,
unless M. Night Shyamalan directs him.
And it's interesting because actually on IMDb, on IMDb, I saw this fact where it said that he stayed in character between takes, and I was like, so he was Mark Wahlberg all the time?
Yeah, what does that entail? He was Mark Wahlberg covered with oil.
Yeah. But Kurt Russell is also in it, and he is. I mean, he's just one of those guys again. I mean, he's Kurt Russell, but like,
how about
watching
Kurt Russell these days in his new configuration as grizzled old man Kurt Russell?
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't like Kurt Russell? Seriously, if you don't,
communists,
email me and I'll not believe you. But
we'll have some words.
What?
We'll have some words with you if you don't like Kurt Russell.
Yeah, I mean, I truly don't know what there is to not like about Kurt Russell. But it's basically it's their movie, and I thought it was handled in a way that was. It was blockbuster-esque in its, explosions and whatnot. So there's sort of that thrilling aspect. But I thought it never got crass about it.
Right.
I thought the people were handled with respect. And what they endured wasn't glamorized. It was, hard to watch at a lot of times. But it was still enough to make you, like, engaged. And how do they get through this? And I'm really rooting for these people. And... yeah, I thought this is a total good rental. I think people who missed it in theaters and they're looking for something kind of an uplifting, one of these true story sort of things. I think people like it. So
I think there's kind of an interesting backstory about the film, which is that it was actually originally developed and it was going to be directed by J.C. Shandor, who did All Is Lost a few years ago.
Wait, what was that?
All Is Lost. That was my favorite movie of 2013 with
Robert Redford. Oh,
yeah.
Oh,
and he also did A Most Violent Year last year. If you saw that with Oscar Isaac and Jessica Chastain.
That's like eternally on my I need to watch this list because of that director. Actually,
yeah, you should. You absolutely should watch it. And so when I first heard he was involved, that was actually why I was curious because he tends to take a more studious approach, and I guess he ended up butting heads over that because the studio wanted something more sort of more. Kind of a Towering Inferno type movie,
which I got to be honest is understandable.
Yeah, and so when I heard that Peter Berg was brought on, I wasn't like, oh man, because I mean I think Peter Berg is a very competent director. Like you know, he's like Wahlberg. Actually, they're very comparable to each other in that you know what you're going to get from Peter Berg,
right?
And so but I will say that did make it less of a, oh man, I really need to see this right away.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I totally get that. Yeah. So, but yeah, and then let's hear what you've been watching, and then we can talk about the movie that we both seen.
The one movie that overlapped. So this is screener season, Brian, and you know this a little bit. It's the end of the year, so all the studios start sending us samples of their wares. This is where we get to tell the audience how much better we are than them.
I'm not gonna lie, it doesn't suck.
and it's great for me because especially this year, it's just been so hectic and everything. I just haven't had the chance to get out to the theater, and it's been nice to kind of catch up. But even then, I've got this pile of screeners that, I mean, from the ground up to like my knee, and I don't know when I'm supposed to find the hours to slog through these. But over the weekend, I watched Kubo and the Two Strings, and this is a new stop motion animated film by Leica, I think it is.
I believe so.
And so the story here, I'd been hearing about this movie for the past 6 months. You got to see it. You got to take your kids. They're gonna love it. And I knew about it in sort of the periphery of my awareness. And so when I got the screener, I was like, oh great. Now I knew nothing about it. So I'm watching it and I'm like, man, this is some really good, interesting CGI. And then the movie finishes and I'm reading about it and it's like, no, it's stop motion animation.
Right.
The entire thing is little models that have been methodically and painstakingly animated, and my jaw just dropped through the floor.
Really?
Because I have never seen such immaculate stop motion animation. I mean, you wouldn't. It's CGI smooth.
I'll have to send it to you on my Instagram. Sometimes they like recommend things to you, and several times I've had recommended to me this sped up or whatever. What do you call it? Speed up the time lapse. Yeah. It's like a time lapse of them doing scenes from this movie, and you can see it moving. You see the characters moving in real time like they would in the film, but you see the people in super fast motion, manipulating them and moving things and it's breathtaking.
It is bananas. So I mean, it's worth watching just for that. I think it's on video on demand and stuff now. I don't know if it's on home video yet, but highly recommend it.
Yeah, well,
just
great.
As a visual spectacle.
Yeah, I remember the trailer. I found it really captivating, and it had a really interesting cover of "While My Guitar Gently Weeps," and I was like, "Man, what is this movie?" And yeah, so I'm happy to hear that. I can't wait to check it out.
I mean, I think if there's one thing I would call, I don't even know if it's a complaint, but maybe just an observation, is I did find it a little odd that it's a story about Japanese history and Japanese culture, and the main characters are voiced by Charlize Theron and Matthew McConaughey.
I forgot. I had heard about that.
And that's one of those things where I'm like, well, I mean, come on. You're telling me you couldn't find any Japanese actors
what's funny, too, is like we are, we have our nose in this stuff. And I didn't even know that movie starred Matthew McConaughey and Charlize Theron. So obviously they're not a draw. They're not a sell for this movie.
That's what's so interesting to me because the selling point is going to be the animation.
Yeah.
So the idea that people are going to be like, let's go hear Matthew McConaughey's voice. Like, other than I suppose other than the value of having him go out and talk up the movie on talk shows or whatever.
Sure.
I suppose, but I feel like a story like George Takei is in there as like random Japanese guy with 3 lines,
right.
which is fine.
Right.
But I mean, you're telling me you couldn't find any Japanese American actresses to be the male and female leads, you know?
Right.
But I suppose it's small complaint because the film itself is absolutely worth watching.
Great, good. Wait, you said you watched it with your kids?
I did, yeah, and they really enjoyed it.
Oh, I was going to ask, yeah, okay.
Another film I saw, speaking of kids' movies, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. Now, we talked about this in our last episode, which honestly feels like 8 years ago. The last time we recorded. It when you think about it, we recorded the Thursday before the presidential election.
Wow.
And it feels like we're now in like an entirely different era.
Yeah. I it's so weird. And I've been through, this long trip, and it seems like a long time.
It's crazy. And just if I can digress really briefly, it's actually been really kind of seeing everything going on over the past weeks and dealing with sort of the aftermath of the fact that we've elected Donald Trump as president. It's really reinstilled in me the importance of this art form that you and I discuss on this show. Because a lot of people are really scared. Mm-hmm. They're scared about what's going to happen. People I know who are Latino, and obviously people in the Muslim community, etc. There's an unease, and there's a sense of encroaching dread, I guess, is the feeling, Mm-hmm. And I think that for me, it's made me double down in terms of trying to put the word out about the great work that's out there and why that's so important. For me, that's what good films can be. That's what good art can be, whether film or television for that matter. It can make you aspire to be your best self. And I think that's really important in times when we feel sadness or unease or anything like that. I don't know if that makes sense.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
But I mean, the week after the election, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them came out. This is the Harry Potter prequel / spin-off, and I'm sure Warner Brothers is hoping it's meant to be the first of 5, by the way.
Wow. Ambitious.
I know they're right, exactly. Well, and when you think about it, I mean, they have the right to be ambitious based on their history with this franchise. Yeah,
true. But it's I mean, that's all they have, right? Like, trust us, this is a Harry Potter thing. Like, right. You don't know these characters. I mean, there's a book, right? But it's not necessarily the story.
So the book is, in essence, it's like, I'm trying to think of an analogy. You know what it's like? I don't know if you remember this. Back in 2008, when Kingdom of the Crystal Skull came out, they came out with this book, Indiana Jones's Journal. Do you remember that book?
No, but I know what you're saying.
It was essentially, imagine that this is the book Indy carries around in his pocket.
Right.
And it's full of like shit about places he's been and little scribbles and pictures and whatever, right? Mm-hmm. So that's what Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them is. It's the textbook. So they published in the real world the textbook that they read in Hogwarts.
Right.
Which is by this guy Newt Scamander. So that's what this film is. It's about how that book ended up being written.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
In essence.
And in the screenplay was by J.K. Rowling, so it's not necessarily someone's interpretation of it. It's coming from the mind.
Straight from the horse's mouth, so to speak. And so this is 50 years before Harry Potter, I think, if not longer, maybe 60 years, because it's set in like the 20s.
Okay.
So it'd be more than, it'd be like 70 years. I have to say, I mean, I'm not the audience for this movie. Mm-hmm. So I took my 9-year-old with me just so that I had like a frame of reference, because he's like deep into the Harry Potter thing. He's on the 6th book right now, so he's fully plugged in. He hasn't seen the movies yet, except for the first 2. Because I was like, well, why don't you read all the books and then you can watch the movies? Mm-hmm. But so he really enjoyed it.
Okay.
So as a Potter fan, that was his verdict. From a non-Potter fan, I had a very difficult time being even remotely engaged in it.
Interesting.
So I'm kind of like, you should probably take my experience, my background into account, and his background into account, because if you're a fan, his response is probably the more accurate one.
See, but why I say that's interesting is that even though it exists in the Harry Potter universe, it doesn't have any of the characters he likes. Right?
Yes. And although it alludes to Dumbledore, and my sense is he's going to be a character in the next
moving forward. But again, all of that said, it feels like if it's a new thing, even though it's in a universe that's familiar and they use terminology that we know, and maybe the music sounds a little familiar, like it's presenting new characters, and it has to present a story that would, captivate anyone, it seems.
Right.
But you're saying that it didn't captivate you.
It's like
there's no book to back it up, is what I'm saying too. Like, because with the Harry Potter films, I thought they were fine. Like, they didn't really do a whole lot for me. But I never read the
I don't
books.
think you and I are the audience for them. It's just we weren't young enough to really imbibe them at the right age.
Yeah.
And so I get that. I feel like there's only so many ways I can watch somebody wave a wand at somebody else, and
sure. Yeah.
But then I think, I'm sure somebody who's not a Star Wars fan would say the same thing about lightsaber fights.
True. It's just interesting to me, because, the original trilogy is the original trilogy, and it's obviously... we're living in the era we're living in now with Star Wars, all because of that original trilogy and how many people it impacted, and they have no books to back it up. There's no excuse if you didn't like the movie to be like, well, the book fills this in, and the book fills, and that's what I kept feeling it was happening with me and Harry Potter.
Yes.
And so I can't comment on the books. I know people love the books. I probably would love the books too, but with the films, I just felt like they leaned too heavily on having had read the books, which I hadn't. And so anyway, my point with the Fantastic Beasts thing is, without necessarily a straight up story book to back it up, like, it just has to exist on its own. And regardless if you're a fan of the previous books, it just feels like this thing would have to stand on its own, period, introducing new people, a new story, a whole new threat, villain, whatever. And if it didn't work for you, I still feel like that sort of reflects on it as a film.
Yeah, bottom line for me is it ended, and I didn't come away being like, oh, that sucked. I was just like, I guess if you're a fan of this world, you'll enjoy seeing the world building.
Yeah.
However, the notion of come back in 2 years for another one of these, I was just like, I'm done. I don't need 8 more hours of this.
Right. Sure.
That's a threat more than a promise.
I heard someone else say that it was like the Phantom Menace is to Star Wars as this is.
I think that's a fair analogy to a point, right? Because at the very least, the Phantom Menace, where it's headed, and that the storyline that it's presenting is directly integral to the movies that already exist.
That's a good point.
Whereas this is a prior tangential story.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it doesn't have the benefit of, like with Phantom Menace, we've talked about it on this show, how the feeling was, well, it wasn't that good, but, well, we know it's going to go, and, we know so this, it's like, oh, we meet Grindengrundle, or whatever the frick his name is, who's some character, and it's like, oh, and we're going to see Dumbledore, and that's supposed to be a tease, and I'm like, I'm not enough of a fan to know if that's supposed to make me excited.
Right.
And then, and this isn't a spoiler, but they set up Johnny Depp as the villain for future films.
Okay.
And I'm like, I don't know that that's as much of a draw anymore as it might have been like a year ago.
Right. What kind of Johnny Depp are we getting here?
We're getting Johnny Depp with a very white face.
Really?
We are, yeah.
With a British accent? And
that I don't know, because we don't hear him speak, I don't think.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, but I would assume so.
Mm-hmm.
Because apparently he plays, I don't know if this even constitutes a spoiler, but he plays a character who was the love of Dumbledore.
Okay.
Dumbledore is gay, you know that, right?
Right, yeah.
So this is like his they had a bad breakup, I guess. I don't know. Yeah. So anyway, if you're a Potter fan, I would assume this is in your wheelhouse, but didn't do much for me.
Okay.
What did do something for me was Disney's latest animated offering, and this is Moana. Mm-hmm. And my gosh, did I love this movie!
It's what I keep hearing. I'm jealous now. I want to see it.
Yeah, check it out. It's about it's about a young girl named Moana, and it's an old timey Polynesian story where she goes off to search for the heart of the ocean or something. Wait, or the heart of the ocean is from Titanic. Right?
I was gonna say that got tossed off a boat a long time ago.
She finds Rose and Heart of the Sea, something like that. Anyway, it's this thing that was stolen long ago by this demigod named Maui, who's voiced by Dwayne Johnson. Mm-hmm. And they go off and have adventures, and I don't want to ruin it, but it's a lot of fun. And some of the catchiest songs, my gosh, I've been listening to the songs on shuffle for the last few weeks. Lin-Manuel Miranda, right? Hamilton guy. He wrote the songs. This guy, man.
Yeah. Have you listened to Hamilton? Have we talked about this?
We have not talked about Hamilton.
Oh, I'll just say very briefly that I finally downloaded it, I know people were obsessed with this over a year ago, but I finally downloaded it, listened to it on an airplane ride, a different airplane ride.
Well, better late than never.
Well, yeah, I wanted to listen to it all the way through because I wanted to experience the story and not just hear songs. Yes. And I mean, dude, I was just in from the start, and when it was finished, I was swept up in it. I was emotional just listening to it.
Wow,
it's very, very good. I highly recommend it to you.
So just
anybody.
The album.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's only like one song missing from it, and the whole thing is a musical. Like, so there aren't little interludes of talking in between. Like, you get to experience the whole show.
That's really cool.
Yeah, and like I said, I mean, just the catchiest, most inventive songs. So hearing you say that makes me think like, well, this guy is no one-trick pony.
He's the real deal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Super catchy songs, and it's just a lot of fun. I mean, Disney. You can't argue with the Disney formula. People can kind of get on a high horse about it, but they found what works. Mm-hmm. And this is another winner from them.
Well, that's great because it feels like they go through peaks and valleys, Disney. And
although they've been on a sustained peak for what feels like a long time now.
No, for sure. But I mean, I remember at one point it was sort of like Pixar was exceeding them, and even like early 2000s they had kind of a dip, but. Man, it's nice to know that they're back, full force. Yeah, and I mean, obviously with Marvel and Star Wars and everything else. Yeah. What don't they own these days? They own all of us. We just don't realize it yet. Yeah. But we will. Actually, speaking of things to listen to, I've been listening to The Daily Show, The Book. Mm-hmm. And this is an oral history of the making of The Daily Show from the time, like from Craig Kilborn through to the end of Jon Stewart's run. Interesting. Yeah. Really, really interesting in terms of the meat and potatoes of how a show like this is put together and stuff. Really compelling stuff. I'm just at the part now where they had to figure out what to do after 9/11. And I don't know if you remember the show right after 9/11 when Jon Stewart gave this very impassioned monologue talking about how he was feeling and stuff. And if you haven't seen it, folks, you can see it on YouTube. Jon Stewart 9/11, something like that. It's incredible. I mean, it's an incredible 8 or 9 minutes of television. Mm-hmm. But just everything that went into that, and sort of, it's an oral history, so it's people telling the story. So you have Jon Stewart offering his own perspective about sort of what happened. I mean, we think of The Daily Show as this monolith, this iconic thing, right? But you forget that it was a process whereby it became sort of a cultural arbiter. It wasn't fully birthed that way. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So we're checking out anyway. Nice. Other things that I just saw a new film called Miss Sloane. Have you heard of this? I haven't. So this is directed by John Madden, not the football guy. And it's not about Ferris Bueller's Girlfriend? It is not. Yeah. it's John Madden did Shakespeare in Love. Oh, okay. I think that won Best Picture, right? That was the year Beat Saving Private Ryan.
And Spielberg won Best Director.
Mm-hmm.
That's which I guess. Yeah, Private Ryan should have won Best Picture, I think.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of those sort of upsets that people still remember.
Yeah. It's like Crash.
Right, exactly. Yeah, it's in that whole thing.
Anyway, so this is so it's called Miss Sloane. It stars Jessica Chastain. It also has Sam Waterston and John Lithgow. It's actually got a fantastic cast.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people. Michael Stuhlbarg, who is in everything, by the way, this guy.
He is.
He is in like literally everything. But this is about a lobbyist, a political lobbyist, played by Jessica Chastain, who works for this high-profile firm, and she's asked to join an outfit that's trying to lobby for a gun control bill.
Okay.
So, in other words, she's asked to take on the gun lobby.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about sort of what ensues there. And I think my sense is, I mean, I saw it at like an Academy screening, so my sense is that the studio is trying to position it as an awards contender.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that it's that.
Okay.
You know, it's not a Best Picture type movie. And I don't even know necessarily that Jessica Chastain gives a Best Actress performance in it. I think she's very good in it, but I don't know that it's that kind of a performance. If that makes sense.
But you don't sound down on it.
I think that it's an engrossing potboiler kind of movie.
Okay. Sort of like The Insider?
I think more like a decent John Grisham movie. Like it's like The Pelican Brief or something, you know, not necessarily The Firm. like if we're plotting a continuum of Grisham.
Well, what about The Client? Is it very The Client?
It's probably better than The Client.
I like The Pelican Brief, by the way. So you're turning me on.
Right. I mean, I like The Pelican Brief too. I would put that as kind of like in the middle of the pack. Sort
of like it's weird to say this, but because we sort of grew up with those movies, but sort of a throwback then.
Yeah, I would say so. Like I think it plays out in a way that I think there's drama that's very forced, and I think there's aspects of it that are very, you know, maybe cheap in a way.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But I think it has aspects of sort of a crowd pleasing adult thriller.
You know, I kept seeing it in my peripheral, and I just never even really had much interest to learn what it was even about.
Yeah.
But you're turning me on to it here.
Yeah, I mean, it's like let me put it this way. I went with my wife, and she was like totally engaged.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And I'm not. I don't mean that like oh, you know, one of the normies like my wife. I mean,
well, that's one way of putting it. But if you put it in a different way, then I totally I get what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, it's I think it's
a crowd pleaser.
It's one of those. Yeah, like there's. I would not consider it a Best Picture type movie, but it's a pleasing potboiler kind of movie that has some clever twists where you're like, oh, okay, cool, you know, oh, that was interesting, kind of like that.
All right, hey, dude, I'm into it now. I want to see it.
Yeah, be curious what you think of that.
Yeah, that sounds like something I'd like to see.
Yeah, I wonder if it's a theater movie or more like a Netflix movie. I would say Netflix. It's like a good Netflix night. Like you probably won't be unsatisfied if you watch it on Netflix.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah. But and Mark Strong is in it also. I mean, that's the thing. It's stacked with these very, very talented performers.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're not going to get a bad performance out of John Lithgow or again Sam Waterston or any of these people. You know. Yeah. And then our last sort of new release, which is kind of an old release now, but Arrival.
Well, you know what? I'm gonna suggest an audible here.
Okay.
What if we save this for the final movie? Only because I feel like there's so much we could say about this movie that would ruin the experience.
Okay.
I feel I would love to give my general opinion on it, but I'd really love to go deeper into it also with you.
Sure. And
I feel like I wouldn't want to rob the first-time viewing experience of this movie for people.
You know what? You're absolutely right. Okay, so you and I both saw Arrival, and we will discuss that very shortly after we talk about headlines and other various bits of business.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, just to start things off, we do have some headlines, and unfortunately, some sad news to start things out. Florence Henderson passed away, and she's of course best known as Carol Brady. She was 82 years old.
Yep.
And we've said this before, and we're probably going to say it again, but it just feels like we get more and more of these stories of these people who we grew up with.
Yeah.
By the way, just a week before Florence Henderson, Robert Vaughn passed away. Who, of course, Man from U.N.C.L.E., and he was on the A-Team. And yeah, I mean, what struck me about Florence Henderson is the fact that it seemed like when the Brady cast would do reunions and stuff in the 90s, like, oh, she's so old, and it's like, no, she was only in her 60s.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, the perspective of like, oh, that really wasn't that old at all,
Yeah.
Were you a big Brady Bunch fan?
Yeah, huge. Yeah, I mean, that was like totally a staple of my afternoons growing up, for sure. I haven't seen it in a long time. Actually, I feel like I just saw an episode or two recently, and it like caused me to stop and watch because I just hadn't seen them in so long. And I mean, they are what they are. Like they're cornball for sure, but there's just this weird sincerity to it, though. Like it doesn't feel like this forced cheese or like this forced sentimentality. Like it just is what it is, unabashedly. And yeah, growing up with it, like I loved it. So
it's interesting to try to read the expressions on Robert Reed's face to see how miserable he is at any given minute.
That's true, because that was a weird thing to grow up and learn about everything on the show.
Well, like how Robert Reed was extremely gay.
Yes. That and that he wasn't a fan of the show at all.
He hated it, yeah.
Yeah, hated it. But I heard he was very, very loving to the kids.
Right.
So which is a really sweet thing. Like a miserable experience for him, but he never let that affect the kids that he was working with.
They're not like sitting at the table waiting for the setup, and he's like, so, you like being on this piece of crap show?
Yeah, exactly. Which I'm sure a lot of people would do. You know what
sucks, kids? My life.
Yeah. But yeah.
We've talked about it before on this show, but I mean the Bradys, the sequel series that they did, which was a drama spin-off, must be seen to be believed.
Yeah. And you've written about this, and I just feel like the theme song alone and how it only existed for like literally a handful of episodes.
6 episodes.
And how many times the theme song changed. Three theme songs. And I just feel like that is just you could teach a college course on that. I feel like
and of the 3, by the way, the final one, like the first 2 were essentially like Muzak versions of the Brady Bunch theme. And then the third one has lyrics sung by Florence Henderson.
Yeah.
Who I can only imagine had a knife at her back by the producers, and she had tears streaming down her face as she was singing this song.
Well, it's just like, again, 6 episodes, and you can just picture the executives seeing that it's not working and desperately trying to figure out how to force people to understand what they're going for.
Right.
Like that's what these 3 theme songs are, and they keep getting more and more melodramatic, and it's really fascinating.
It's kind of weird to me, actually. You'd think that a show that was at the very least an IP that people knew, that you'd think they would have given it more than 6 episodes. You'd think they would have given it 13 at least. And I wonder, because,
another thing that airs a lot of times at Christmas is the Brady Christmas reunion.
Yes.
Which I can watch, and then usually like the commercial break will happen and I turn it. I can watch like little chunks of it. It just didn't belong in any other time than when it existed.
Yes, I agree with that.
Right? But when you watch those time capsules, I feel like in their own sort of way, like I say, because they're so honest about what they're going for, I still feel like they work for what they are, and they might not be to everyone's tastes. I wouldn't, if someone says they hate them, I wouldn't. Yeah, that's fine. But I at least feel like they're these honest little sappy stories that are just I was at the right age, and they struck a chord with me, and I enjoy them, and I love all the characters and stuff. So yeah, so this was really sad to hear about Florence Henderson.
And again, I mean, I think we've said this before. Like when Russell Johnson, the professor, passed away from Gilligan's. I mean, it's just it's sort of these pieces of granite from our childhood that we sort of think of as immutable, and then gradually they start dropping off the map. And I mean, it's just this has been kind of a crazy year in terms of the number of celebrity deaths and the frequency.
Yeah.
And it's been interesting to see sort of the dialogue where some people are like, oh, 2016, it sucks. And some people are like, you don't even know these people. Why are you upset? And blah, blah, that indignation. And I'm like, you can grieve for somebody you don't know.
For sure. And I mean, it would be silly to say that these people, like some movie you love, like to that person, like what's your favorite movie? What's your favorite song? What's your favorite whatever? Like, and tell me why. And it's like those things mean something to you, and they add a soundtrack to your life, and they become stitched into your sort of narrative in a certain sort of way, and the way that you sort of view the world and whatnot. And it's like how you couldn't mourn the loss of someone that had something to do with something that was so important to you.
Right.
I don't think they're thinking of it that way because that thing didn't mean anything to them. But for the things that do, I'm sure that they would be grieving those things.
Right. So chill out, people.
Yeah.
Calm down.
Hey, chill.
All right. So other news, we have Nintendo Land coming to Universal Studios.
The only reason I wanted to bring this up is because I have always said, and my friends have always said, we would go, like pop-ups are kind of a popular thing right now, especially out in Los Angeles. I'm not sure about elsewhere, but just these sort of things that'll spring up, and they're these immersive experiences. Like they'll show a screening of Back to the Future, but they'll do this pop-up where it's like they turn this whole street into 1955, and there's actors dressed like this, and blah, blah, blah. And we were always like, we would totally pay out the butt to go to a Super Mario Brothers pop-up where we could go through and see the tubes and jump over bricks and punch, question boxes. So as soon as we saw this is actually the way I learned about it was this huge group email my friends sent me this morning. Coming to Universal Studios Japan, Orlando, and Hollywood. Apparently there's going to be this expansive, immersive, interactive Nintendo Land. And I, for one, am all for it.
I just hope there's lots of mushrooms for people.
Right? Yeah, and then everyone will be thinking they're shooting fireballs out their hands. So, anyway, I'm all in on this. How do you feel about this? Is this something... Speaking of things, that get stitched into your fabric from your life, I mean, Super Mario is like...
Yeah, well, I think more than the theme park, actually, the Nintendo thing I've been trying to get into is the NES Classic that came out a few weeks ago.
Yes, yeah.
Which is, like, apparently they manufactured, like, 3.
Right, yeah.
Not 300, 3.
Yeah, it was one of those annoying experiences where everyone was excited about an item, and then it went on sale, and it was a limited amount, and they sell out in 10 minutes or less, and now they're on eBay for hundreds of dollars.
I've seen it listed as high as $2,000.
Insane.
Which is bananas.
Infuriating.
For those of you who don't know what this is essentially a replica of the original 1980s Nintendo Entertainment System, the 8-bit system. It's been sort of boosted to be able to work with on an HD display, and it basically fits in the palm of your hand, in essence. And it's pre-programmed with like 30 iconic NES games.
Yeah.
So I first heard about this, and I have not owned a video game system since the early 90s.
Mm-hmm.
I owned a Game Boy, the original Game Boy, the black and white piece of shit Game Boy. That was mine, right?
Yeah.
And so I heard about this. I'm like, oh, that sounds awesome. And I'm so out of the loop when it comes to buying video games. I just assume, like, oh, I'll just pre-order something on Amazon and it'll get here when it gets here. No, this thing blinked out of existence the minute it was released. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, well, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
And somebody was like, oh, well, on Black Friday, Target's going to have like 40 of them. You got to get in line. I'm like, I'm not that, I don't need it that badly.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not, at 3 a.m., I'm going to be in bed,
Yeah.
But when is this thing supposed to become available? I don't know.
Yeah.
Which seems counterintuitive if you're trying to make a product that will, that people want.
Yeah, I don't get it. I mean, either they thought it was going to be some sort of niche thing and they were testing the waters, or this was their plan all along to build up some sort of fervor. Because, I mean, the Wii, what was it called? Wii U, didn't sell like they had hoped, and they got to, keep people excited with Nintendo, and I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think retail on this is like $70.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like it's actually probably worth like 40,
Yeah, or if that, yeah.
And I'm happy to pay retail, but anybody who's going to fork over $2,000, you got too much money.
Yeah. I mean, well, that's the other thing too, is I was tempted to get it because of the HDMI thing, and you can like save games and whatnot, which you couldn't do originally. But I have a Christmas present I got like 2 years ago. It's not an emulator. I don't know what you'd call it, but it acts like a Nintendo box. Like you can, and so you can buy the original games and play them in this box. And I want to say that was like about $40 or $50 off of Amazon.
Wow.
And it's great. Like I've played Contra, and you can totally do the codes and get the 30 lives. And I beat, Mario on it. And so, I mean, it's just as good, frankly. I mean, well, except that it's not prepackaged with the games, but.
Yeah.
So I guess I know what I'm getting you for Christmas.
Hey, well, if you find one, yeah. Although you might want to flip it if you find one and,
Yeah, that's right.
Cash out,
Yeah.
Other news, moving on from Nintendo talk, another what feels like a video game is Avatar. Again, the long-threatened Avatar sequels.
Well, what's interesting about it is that we have our opinions about whether or not it's a good idea and how many and this and that, whatever. But the real question is, when are these coming out? Right? I mean, because they keep giving new dates. And just recently, within the past week, we've gotten yet another date. And talk earlier about this was that they were going to butt up against Star Wars. Like if it was coming out in December, that has sort of become Star Wars month.
Yes.
And, having these two titans go at it at the box office, is that really in anyone's best interest? So I guess it was just announced that they've reserved Fox. Well, this is the official announcement, is that Fox has reserved December 21st, 2018 for an untitled Lightstorm production. Lightstorm being James Cameron's production company. Yeah. So one has to assume on a date that ambitious.
Yeah, since he's not doing any damn thing other than Avatar.
Yeah. So the first thing I did was look up which Star Wars movie was coming out that December.
That's funny.
And turns out none. And I was like,
really? And
there you go. I was like, and
wait a minute. So next December we have episode 8.
Episode 8 is December 15th, 2017, and then in 2018 is the Young Han Solo movie, which is coming out
in December.
May 25th.
Oh, well, that's interesting.
So
I wonder why Disney would do that. I mean, why not make December Star Wars month?
I don't know. I mean, May
because May is sort of
Star
Marvel
Wars
month.
It has become that, right? Or I even think of Marvel month almost as like April. Right? Don't their things come out kind of early?
No, it's always the first week of May.
Oh, there you go. Okay, I see. Well, and then you got a full month before that one comes out. And then apparently episode 9, the tentative release date currently is May 23rd, 2019.
Interesting. Okay.
So maybe they're trying to get it back
to a summer thing.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
Which, though, I mean, December seems to be a really solid month to release a movie, especially a movie that people are going to rewatch over and over when there's absolutely no competition for at least 3 months.
Yeah, right. November and December, I would say.
Yeah, and you have kids off for break, and
yeah,
I don't know.
Anyway, the point is they're releasing Avatar 2 and nobody gives a crap. I don't know why they're. There is no way you can convince me that this many years later people give a crap about another Avatar movie. I don't care how well that movie did in theaters.
Yeah,
I'm going to sound like a friggin' asshole in 2019 when Avatar 2 is like the number one movie of all time again, you know.
And you're wearing your Avatar 2 t-shirts. And
yeah. But see, I mean, that's the thing. I'm somebody who you know, I didn't mind the first Avatar.
Same.
But I left it in the theater. I have never once felt moved to rewatch it.
Same. I mean,
I just a few weeks ago happened to because I have it on my Vudu, so I watched some of the special effects scenes, and I was kind of like, this really doesn't look that good either, you know?
Oh, really? I haven't seen it in a while, and I'm open to it. I'm a James Cameron fan. It's not what I would choose for him to make next, but I'm hoping for another good James Cameron movie. So whether or not, I think the interesting thing. And I completely agree with everything you're saying. I don't really give a crap. Like, if he decided not to make this and make something else, I would be completely unmoved. That
would be better.
But at the same time, I wonder, I think the thing to watch is Avatar 1 is the highest grossing movie of all time in the world. So how in the world is Avatar 2 going to do? Like, is it going to come even close? Is it going to do really well, but nowhere near as close, so it will be seen as a failure, even though it'll probably make a ton of money? You know, I mean, if it made over $1 billion, it still wouldn't be halfway to Avatar 1.
The thing is that nobody, well, let me rephrase. Nobody other than dullards watched Avatar and said, man, you know, I loved the character dynamics.
Dude, I don't know. You might be...
it's true. Give me a break. There's nothing about the characters. They're like cardboard cutouts, these characters.
Hey, look,
I'm saying it right here. If you came out of Avatar being like, man, Jake Sully and Neytiri, the way they were so developed, you're not a very sophisticated person.
I can't believe you're drawing such a line in the sand right now.
I am. You're just not. It's okay. But you should realize this. Now, my point is that the film was sold on spectacle.
Yeah.
Okay? It's not there's nothing about the film that again, it wasn't the character stuff that people walked out talking about. It was the spectacle.
Sure.
So what Avatar 2 needs to do then is it has to up the spectacle,
or make us care about everything,
which, I mean, it hasn't done already.
I would say it almost has to do that if they're going to have four movies. Because spectacle can only go so far.
That's the point. That's what I'm saying. Like let me put it this way. Like Die Hard, right? You're engrossed by all the crazy stunts and everything, but at the end of the movie, you're like, man, John McClane is such a cool character. Right? Lethal Weapon ends, and you love all the action and everything, but you're like, man, I love Riggs and Murtaugh. Nobody loves Jake Sully. What, are you kidding me? And that's the point I'm making. And so if a sequel is being sold on spectacle, how do you one up what we see in Avatar? Now, in that sense, I'm not going to underestimate James Cameron doing something impressive.
For sure.
But I think at some point you're going to hit the wall.
Yes. With 4 films, yes.
Yeah. You know. So that's all.
Well, and I guess this doesn't compare, but I was going to say, I'm like, 4 films? But we just said that, you know, Fantastic Beasts, which you didn't seem too high on, is going to have 5 films.
Yeah.
But then again, people love Harry Potter, so.
Well, and there's no upper limit on Avatar movies, right? Because they're promising Avatar 5 sometime in 2023.
Yeah.
Which, come on. I just hear that and I get tired.
Yeah. I just wonder, I would be captivated to have like a Fox executive who's involved with this,
right? Like
on our show with his voice disguised, speaking completely candidly about how he feels and how everyone feels about this. Like, are they crapping their pants? You know, or have they seen something and like, we've seen the future, just wait. You know,
well, but Fox is only distributing it.
Who's paying for it?
That makes me wonder if Cameron is paying for it out of his own pocket.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, because let's see here. It says Lightstorm is Cameron's production company, and Fox is expected to distribute the Avatar sequels.
Oh, well, they got to lose.
That's what I mean, maybe they're splitting the costs or something, but
Sure.
I would assume that based on how well Avatar did, James Cameron is in kind of a George Lucas situation.
And he did, excuse me, he did pay for his prequels, didn't he, George Lucas?
Yeah, out of his own pocket. Yeah. You know, he paid for them all. He paid for every Star Wars movie except the original Star Wars.
Wow.
You know?
Oh, that's right. I did know that with Empire and all that. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, because remember he was pissed at Gary Kurtz for going over budget on Empire, and that's why he didn't come back for Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
All of this we'll talk about in our commentary track for The Empire Strikes Back.
Coming soon.
DVD. Other headline news, very quickly. Here's a movie that I don't know how I feel about this, actually, Brian.
I don't either, and that's why I wanted to talk about it.
So one of my favorite movies of last year was The Big Short, and I know that was one of your favorites too. Directed by Adam McKay, who made his dramatic filmmaking debut. So Adam McKay, Oscar-nominated director Adam McKay, his next project is a bio of Dick Cheney.
Which, to me, comes as no surprise. He wears his politics and his feelings about Wall Street on his sleeve.
Yes.
And he seems very passionate about these things. And now that he is... I mean, this is the guy who directed Anchorman and Talladega Nights and, known for sort of broad comedy. And then, he makes The Big Short, which still had a lot of comedic elements to it for being sort of a dark, dramatic story at the same time. And
I just rewatched that, by the way, a few weeks ago with my class.
Big
Still
Short?
so good. Yeah, so good.
Oh, yeah. I really enjoyed it. Really well done. It takes something that's very complicated, makes it really accessible and emotional. But it's funny because the things, it's basically like he's making movies about things he hates.
Yeah.
And there's something that's sort of interesting about that, but then you wonder if all of it's going to start to sound the same, if that makes sense. Like they're all going to have this sort of, not snarky, but sort of this snide, sort of sarcastic, doesn't this thing suck? Like I don't want him to fall into that pit.
Kind of Oliver Stone.
Yeah, this sort of cynical...
Well, like W, right? Like I'm thinking of W, that movie that, right?
Yeah, but I'm open to it, and I'm very curious what he's going to do with it. And his quote offering, I'm reading this off of /film, where it says, offering hints of where the movie will go. He says, "I've always found Cheney fascinating, questions of what drove him, what his beliefs were. But once we started digging, I was astounded at how much he had shaped America's place in the world and how shocking the methods were by which he gained his power." And I was like, okay. Like I'm interested in that movie. I think, and especially from him, I think.
Adam McKay is what makes me interested in it, because the truth is, if I never see anything to do with Dick Cheney ever in the rest of my life, I'll be just fine.
Well, see, and that's kind of my point, is I don't care about this person. I don't really care about their life.
Yes.
And so, their life story, I should say. But I'm curious if he felt compelled enough that this was a story that he could tell in a way that he thought he would tell well, and I like the way he tells stories. I'm like, well... okay, like you, if this was coming out and it was just by some director whose name I didn't know, I doubt I would watch it.
Right.
Yeah. So
there we go. And you can't call it Dick because there's already a movie called Dick.
Yeah, that's right.
Which it's about Dick Nixon.
Mm-hmm.
Remember Kirsten Dunst was in that?
Yeah, and Michelle Williams. Yeah. What a random movie. Like I know. It's like wasn't it one of them had a crush on Richard Nixon, and somehow they get in the White House and they feed him like pot cookies and
because they walk his dog Checkers.
Oh, okay.
My memory of that movie is I skipped class at College of DuPage, and I was like, I think I'm going to go watch a movie, and I went and watched Dick.
Oh, funny.
Of all the things to watch.
Yeah, I've never seen it.
Yeah, it's pretty forgettable. Yeah. Dan Hedaya is Nixon.
Right. And I remember the
okay.
trailer very well, though, it seems.
Yeah, I remember seeing the trailer a bunch. That was one of those movies that they play. You know what? Another movie that we saw trailers nonstop for like forever, Mystery Alaska.
Yeah, the hockey movie.
Yeah, with
Yeah.
Russell Crowe.
Yeah.
David E. Kelly.
Yeah.
It was like, oh Christ, here it is again.
It's funny. Never saw it.
Never, right. I think people got so sick of the trailer they didn't watch the movie.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on. Do we have some Star Wars news, Brian?
We do.
Let's cue the music.
Well, Rogue One, fast approaching. We are past Thanksgiving and heading into December, as we said earlier, Star Wars month. Until you have a Han Solo movie.
I know.
But yeah, so tickets went on sale this past Monday?
Yeah,
The
yesterday.
28th of November for Rogue One.
Yesterday.
And I was wondering, because we've been talking about this at work and with, fellow Star Wars fans. It doesn't seem like the fervor, like the cultural fervor is on the same sort of level or at the same volume as there was for Force Awakens a year ago this time. I mean,
Which
that
is
was
entirely understandable.
It is understandable, but at the same time, I'm a little surprised, and not about the fervor, but like I say, the volume, cultural volume of this. Like, I'm not hearing a lot about it. I'm not seeing a lot about it. I am a little surprised by that. I feel like Disney would have a little bit more of a blitz going on with this. Don't you?
Maybe, and I'm just putting this out there, maybe they're deliberately trying to not hype it up to the same degree as The Force Awakens, because anything less than that would be less than the reception that got would be perceived as a failure then.
That is a very good point.
Maybe they're trying to set up sort of multiple tiers of, it's kind of like, I've used the analogy before, but look at how they promote Ant-Man versus Captain America Civil War.
That is a very good point, and that would be very wise. So that doesn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me if that's what they're doing.
I mean, we know this movie's going to be a hit.
Well, and that was my point. The first thing to bring up is that they sold the tickets Monday night, and tickets for The Force Awakens, I don't know if you and other listeners have had a similar experience, but when those went on sale, I was at work and coordinating with other people to figure out how we could get like a group of 12 together, so we all had to split it up. And it was the first time I've ever clicked on a website so many times that the internet told me to stop. And I talked to my friend Chad, and he said same thing. He got the same thing. The internet was like, stop.
How funny. Wow.
I've never seen it before, never seen it since. And we ended up getting tickets. It was like a miracle that we got them. And so when they were going on sale this Monday, I was like, oh, here we go again. And I logged on, no problem, got exactly the seats I wanted. Easy peasy. I was like, well, that was great. But then I was surprised to read the next day, though, that Fandango apparently was struggling because of overload from people trying to buy tickets. So I was like, oh, okay. Like, I thought that maybe the experience was a little less than a year ago, but apparently not. Apparently, yeah. Did you get tickets?
I did, yeah. I'm going Saturday morning.
Did you have a hard time?
I didn't. I was able to log. I actually waited until Tuesday morning. Monday morning.
And that's probably it. There's probably two secrets to this that we both did that were a little different. Like, one, yes, a lot of people are going to go try to squeeze through the door all at once at a certain time. But if you wait, you're probably going to find a seat. Maybe not the seat you want, but you're going to find a seat. And for me, I was going to see it at this theater called the ArcLight, and they have their own website. So it was easy to just go on their site and get the seats that I want and whatnot. But if you go on Fandango, which has a multitude of theaters that they're servicing, I could see where that would be a lot more of a cluster.
When are you gonna be seeing it? I'm
seeing it Thursday night.
Oh, okay.
The night that it opens.
What time?
10 o'clock.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So, yeah.
And I'm hoping I'll have already seen it by then. I'm assuming this press screening will be shortly before that, I would assume.
Yeah, or at least the week of, I would assume.
I mean, Force Awakens, they screened for us the Monday of that week at 11 a.m.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah. And when we see it that week, it has been officially confirmed that there will not be an opening crawl, which I had said all along. Yep.
There shouldn't be.
Yeah. But apparently, I was like, is this a spoiler for anybody? But if it is, you're nuts. Apparently, it will have the A Long Time Ago in a Galaxy Far, Far Away opening card. Which
I also said.
Yeah, which makes sense because
that should be the one consistent thing.
Yeah, but and then it has a title card, Rogue One, and that's all, folks.
Good.
Yeah.
That's exactly the approach. Leave the crawl for the saga movies.
Mm-hmm.
People are really upset about this.
But they'll get you. It's new. People hate things that are new.
They're
or different, I should say.
Being ridiculous. Yeah, people don't like change.
Yeah, and Kathleen Kennedy also said that she's not currently. They're not planning on making a Rogue 2.
Yeah, because there's already a sequel to Rogue One. It's called Star Wars: A New Hope.
Yeah, that's actually what Gareth Edwards said.
Oh, did he say
almost
that?
in so many words? He basically said, "Yeah, there is a sequel, and it was directed by George Lucas."
Oh, it's true.
Yeah.
I also thought this was interesting. Somebody was asking about why they haven't announced an Obi-Wan Kenobi movie. Did you see this?
Yeah, remind me. It feels familiar.
Well, essentially, let me see if I can find the source while I'm talking. I didn't know we were going to talk about this. Somebody who is in a position to know was asked, why hasn't there been an Obi-Wan Kenobi movie announced? And that person said, well, I don't think they're done with Obi-Wan in the saga yet. So here we go. So, okay, Entertainment Weekly's Anthony Bresnikan appeared on Rebel Force podcast this week and said, Rebel Force radio podcast, and said, I've heard rumors that the one reason they haven't moved sooner on Obi-Wan is that they're not done with Obi-Wan quite yet in the saga films. So I wouldn't be surprised to see an Obi-Wan thing happen beyond episode 9. I think that there'll probably be some reference to Obi-Wan in the saga films and his connection to whatever characters he happens to have a connection with. I've already written that I think that Rey has some kind of connection to him, family connection. So if that's the case, maybe we see a part of that play out in the future Obi-Wan movie. Ewan McGregor would be the perfect age to reprise that character. So kind of that lends credence to the idea that she has a connection, that Rey has a connection to Obi-Wan. If they're deliberately, because an Obi-Wan Kenobi movie is a slam dunk.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
We already know the guy, yeah.
And he's not shy about wanting to come back. So the fact that they
How do you know
very
this?
deliberately... What's that?
How do you know this? Do you have
Well, as
firsthand-
it happens, Brian.
Yeah?
I hung out with Ewan McGregor recently.
Oh.
While you were off in Japan gallivanting. I was making some new friends.
Yeah.
So we know he wants to come back. So
No,
the
you
fact
did.
that-
You literally, sounds like you're kidding, but you did. You had a one-on-one with him and talked about
Yeah,
it.
I think we played the audio in
Yeah.
our last episode, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, so he's ready to do it. So the fact that they haven't announced something means probably that there is something in the works.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if we see Force Ghost Obi-Wan Kenobi played by Ewan McGregor.
Yeah.
I'm actually curious. Like, that might be jarring because obviously he should be Alec Guinness by this point.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, couldn't you see them doing something like that?
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe just age him up a little bit.
Yeah, no, I could absolutely. I think that's a really wise theory.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah.
And then tell me about the score to Rogue One.
Yeah, well, just this past week, they were talking to Michael Giacchino, who came in to replace Alexandra. I can never say his name. Desplat?
I think it's Desplat.
Yeah. Alexandra Desplat?
I think it's just Alexander.
Alexander. Okay. I feel bad for mispronouncing it because I'm such a fan. But anyway, he apparently left the film. I think it was over scheduling. Who knows what that really means. But Michael Giacchino.
Well, I think there's more than that, actually, because I don't know if you saw this. Michael Giacchino gave an interview where he said that when he came on, they were like, hey, do you want to know what happened? And the implication was there's a story here.
Oh.
And he was basically like, you know what? Don't, maybe like a year from now over beer, but not right now.
Huh. Well, that's interesting.
Yeah. So I feel like there's something more than just, the scheduling.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I just assume, creative clash of some sort. But, yeah. But Giacchino seems like the natural person outside of John Williams to take a stab at a Star Wars score. And I say that because he's one of the few people these days who is making scores that sort of resemble the old school music that sort of punctuates the narrative.
Yes.
Where a lot of people just sort of make mood music that can be just as effective, but
wallpaper.
There's more narrative lyricism to the music throughout the films that he does. But anyway, so the surprising fact was that he only had 1 month to write the music for this movie, which is kind of fascinating because I think a lot of people are probably going to go out and just blind buy this score, right? But this is, and you assume it'll in some ways iconic.
Is it going to sound like he had 1 month to write the score?
Exactly. Like, I mean, is he going to make Star Wars? Is from the strongest to weakest scores, always has a few things that you will totally know for the rest of your life. Some sort of theme or whatnot that will stick with you in some way. And so you wonder, in 1 month, what can this man come up with? And I say that, with hope. I think if there's anyone who could do it, I think he's one of the people who could. So I'm, curious.
We shall see.
Yeah.
Well, that wraps up Star Wars news, and now we have one more new release to discuss, Brian.
Yeah.
So we're talking about The Arrival, and this is the new Denis Villeneuve film. He did Sicario last year, and he did Prisoners 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. 3 years ago, actually. That was 2013, I think, right? Mm-hmm. Definitely one of my most. I'm always excited to see what he has coming up next.
Absolutely, and I was going to mention this later, but did you ever see the movie Enemy that he did with Jake Gyllenhaal?
I haven't, but I've heard it's really good.
Yeah, I mean, he has become like a blind buy
kind of a
director for me, like
Nolan-esque for me a little bit.
Yeah, like he hasn't made anything I haven't liked so far. And Enemy is a movie that I'll just say very briefly about that. Hijack this, but I started it with a girl I was dating a couple years ago, and it starts off with a very sexually provocative scene, and she was not into it right off the bat, and I was like, oh, damn it. Like, I kind of want to see this, but whatever. So anyway, after Arrival, which, spoiler alert, I loved, I was like, okay, this is like the one movie of his I haven't seen. I got to watch this. So I started it up again. You get past that scene, that's like the only moment like that in the movie. It's great. If you love this director, watch Enemy. It is a really, really interesting movie. Maybe if you watch at some point, we can talk about it a little more. But it's got these really interesting sort of surreal imagery that creeps into a very, grounded sort of world, and they collide and make this fascinating, dreamlike sort of movie. And I'm just like really high in this guy right now, just after Arrival and Enemy. So,
well, and the thing with Arrival is, I don't know about you, but it kind of came out of nowhere for me.
Yes. I knew that it was coming.
I mean, it was in the periphery of my awareness, but it wasn't like, this feels like an organic
hit
experience. An organic hit too, because it's doing really well. It's made almost 100 million. Mm-hmm. But it's not. It hasn't been sort of force fed by the studio. It's just been a natural word of mouth movie.
Yeah, and it's interesting.
So refreshing.
It's refreshing, and also because it's an original story. And it's a very mature story. It doesn't hold your hand at all. It asks a lot of you, and it's not. There's no fighting. People make contact with aliens, and there's no fighting and explosions and cities being attacked. So it's
well, there are fighting and explosions. We just don't see them.
Yeah, it's true.
Right. So I knew we were going to be talking about this, so I made time to see it earlier today.
Oh, okay.
So it is brand new, fresh in my recent experience.
So you wrote that review really quickly.
It wasn't even a review.
It was just like, I guess not. But yeah, I read that this morning.
It was, I just tossed up a thing on Instagram, which I do sometimes in lieu of writing a full-on thing. Because, I mean, the movie is like so old at this point that,
old and like modern movie going.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
But 3 weeks is old enough where I'm like, here's my thoughts really quickly, Mm-hmm. So do we want to give a non-spoiler take, or should we?
Yeah, I'd like to, because I think I'd like to encourage people and tell them why I would encourage them to go see it. But then, we can get into the nitty-gritty of it after that. Do you want me to start?
Go for it.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for these sort of like grounded sci-fi stories. Like, just recently, I'd been told for years I should see the movie Contact. Robert Zemeckis, Jodie Foster, and I just watched it this year. Talked about it on the show, and it's one of those movies where it's about aliens trying to reach out to us, but it's
very similar to this.
Yeah, very similar, and it's told in a very grounded, realistic sort of way. It's not a spectacle movie. It's about what if aliens really did truly try to reach out to us? What would that look like? And how would we handle it? And what would we use to communicate with them and whatnot? And that's exactly what this movie is. And what I really liked about it is Amy Adams plays, a really interesting, compelling character. Like you're not even given a ton of information about her, but it's just one of those movies where they skillfully just get you to be like, okay, like I understand this person. And then she's immediately thrust in this otherworldly scenario where, she's a linguist or what do you call it? Is that right? Linguist?
Linguist, yeah.
Yeah. And she teaches, classes on languages and whatnot. And so these ships have landed. They don't know how to speak this alien's language. So they get a linguist to come in and try to figure it out. And that's the thrust of this film, and that's as far as I'll go with that. But what I really loved about it is it's a very, very human story, for as much as it sounds like it wouldn't be.
Right.
And I found Amy Adams' story, her character's story, equally as compelling as any of the sci-fi elements.
Yes. And
this movie is equally shares, the story is equally about both of those things, and you will be satisfied with both, I think. It's just a really well-told story, and not only that, it's a story that's told in a very interesting way that I think is fresh, to use a word you just said. Like, it's a very fresh way to tell a story, and I'm holding back because I just don't want to go further than that. But anyway, what about you?
Yeah, so I went into this completely having studiously avoided any spoilers. I hadn't even seen the trailers, nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So
wow.
All I knew was the very, very broad strokes of, it involves Amy Adams and Jeremy Renner and aliens. And I figured by virtue of the fact that it was by Denis Villeneuve, it would not be Independence Day resurgence,
Mm-hmm.
Re-resurgence. I found it very similar to Contact, like you mentioned. I also found it very similar to Interstellar.
Uh-huh. Yep.
In good ways. And it's funny because I feel like people have sort of broken bad on Interstellar. In it feels like suddenly people hate it.
Mm-hmm.
And I really like that movie still.
Me too.
So I feel like it's almost like a companion piece.
Mm-hmm.
Because they sit together very comfortably. I've used this metaphor before, where you give like film students an assignment, and what do they come up like the same assignment, and see what they come up with.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like Interstellar and Arrival could be the results of two filmmakers given the same assignment.
Yeah. Yes.
Because again, without spoiling anything, it involves extraterrestrial aspects, plus it involves the relationships between parents and children. And,
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's and Contact too, by the way, in many ways,
mm-hmm.
is very similar in that sense. And I do find, by the way, the fact that Arrival doing so well means that Robert Zemeckis' latest movie has not done well at all.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of bitter irony in that, I suppose.
Yeah.
Although I haven't seen Allied, so I can't speak to that. But
I haven't either. I'd like to.
But you're not in a hurry to see it.
Zemeckis is the one key thing for my desire to see that. I didn't think the trailers looked that compelling. I don't even feel like the story's that compelling. But I know that he spins a hell of a yarn.
Right.
He's like a old school crackerjack, populist, very successful populist filmmaker. And I love what he does. So regardless of all of those things, I can't wait to watch this movie, like visually see what he does. So I will see it, but yeah.
Eventually. Well, so with that in mind, I liked the movie. Do you want to get into some spoilers?
Yeah, let's do it. And I know sometimes people like to go beyond the spoiler wall, and I do that sometimes too. But if you have any
don't do it for this one.
If you have any interest in this movie, I highly recommend that you pause it here and really go enjoy the experience of this movie, and then come back.
Yeah, I don't do it for this movie. Experience it as fresh as you can.
Yeah.
All right, so we are now entering the spoiler zone.
Spoilers.
Okay, so we're past the spoiler wall. What do you want to spoil about this movie, Brian? Let's discuss.
Let's go right in.
Let's make a meal of it.
We're talking to people who have all enjoyed this movie together. You know what was really, really fascinating about this movie that you don't realize until it's over is that this isn't the point of the story, but you learn that Amy Adams, through learning this alien language, is able to experience time all at once. Her entire life. She's things that happen before, things that happen after. She can experience those things all at once. Time is not a line anymore. It's a circle.
That's the gift that these aliens give.
Yes. And what you realize when the movie is over is that the movie is told in the way that she experiences time. Like you start the movie with what you think are flashbacks, but they're flash forwards.
Right.
And it took me a minute. Like I was walking out, and it's funny, I saw this movie by myself, and I walked out, and I got in an elevator with another guy who was by himself, and he was like, "Did you just watch Arrival?" And I was like, "Yes." And then we talked about it for like 5 minutes in the parking lot because we just had to kind of work through it, and we just realized the more we talked about it how brilliant it was. And I've heard other people comment on this. You know, movies have a language. We all know the language of movies, and this movie was told in a different language. And you have to learn it as you're going along, and then when it's over, you realize you got to experience a story in a whole new way. And I found that really fascinating and kind of brilliant on the writing.
I think the idea, like, there's no way you would know watching the movie that the child has not been born.
Yes.
You assume that this is just backstory for her character.
Right.
And so I really enjoyed the discovery process of figuring out what the movie was trying to tell me.
Mm-hmm.
Just like the aliens are communicating something to her and she's trying to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
So there's this feeling of discovery. Like, oh my God, I figured out what you're trying to tell me.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
You know? And I think, yeah, go ahead.
No. I mean, it's you go into this movie, you're like, oh, you know, someone trying to communicate with aliens, and it's an alien movie, and then you realize that the theme of the movie is really a little too simply like it's better to have loved and lost than to have never loved at all. Right. And you're like, what? Like that's you have no idea that that's what it's giving to you, and it does it. Like, think about if you're a writer and you want to write a movie and convey that thought because you're just feeling that feeling, and you want like to come up with this story,
right? And
to convey that in such a fascinating way and a compelling way and in a completely wholly original way. I mean, it's just a remarkable movie.
I mean, I think what's so interesting is that there's this notion of predestination.
Mm-hmm.
That like and so you're trying to unpack that. Like, does she then have the ability to change the past based on what she knows about the future? Because there's a moment in there where she essentially is receiving information from the future by virtue of the Chinese general,
right?
And it occurred to me how does that even work? Like, what's the, you know?
Yeah, sort of like a Terminator loop.
Yeah, and it's almost like if you think about it too much, your head starts to hurt.
Yeah. But how fun was that? I mean, because this is a movie that's very matter of fact and very, sort of like I was explaining the Godzilla movie, where it's really about like the bureaucracy of it. It's like, yeah, we got these aliens and this is fascinating and amazing, but like different countries are having different experiences with these things, and some are, countries are rioting and losing their minds, and some people want to start wars. And yeah, it's great that you're making progress communicating with this thing, but at the same time, the government's going to shut this down if you don't make progress.
Right.
And which is really, that's what I love about this too, is like I said, like her story is compelling, but like the alien story is equally as compelling. the challenges of that, right? But then also they come up into, and the movie is, I wouldn't call it a thriller by any stretch, but like at the end they add these sort of fun thrillerish elements where they're like, look, if we don't negotiate with China or figure out how to contact China or get them to stand down from attacking, this whole World War III is going to break out. And so she, in being able to experience time backwards, forwards, and whatnot all at once, she has this moment where she meets the president of China. And he's just like, I can't believe you said that brilliant thing that talked me down. And so that she does, but she's like, how? What did I say?
Right.
It's just, and then she has to run, and she's like on the run, from the army, trying to figure out what that thing was before she runs out of time, and just having this. I really enjoyed that element of it, even though that wasn't what the movie was, and it didn't have a lot of elements like that. I thought that was a fun little chase, kind of sci-fi adventure element that they threw in toward the end.
I also like that Jeremy Renner's role was essentially as a functionary to her. Like, he was not the knight in shining armor or whatever. It is her story.
Right.
And I just found that refreshing.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Again, just the similarities with Interstellar are what really stick out to me.
Yeah. Yeah. And I didn't even put it together other than somewhat tonally, but yeah, the whole communicating through time.
Yeah, with your child.
To send a message back and and
again, this notion of time being circular. Mm-hmm. And these in Interstellar, it's highly advanced humans. But the idea is the same, right? It's saving humanity. Mm-hmm. The key to saving humanity lies in the love of a child. Mm-hmm. And then, I think there's something interesting in the idea that she, knowing the future, she has the power to change it by saying, I don't want to go through this heartbreak of seeing my daughter die, but I will anyway. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's no greater heartbreak for a parent, I can only imagine, than that, And so, I just found that so poignant that like, again, obviously speaking as a parent myself, I would, that's just not something I even want to contemplate. Mm-hmm. And yet she chooses that. Like, I don't know, that I'm not even going to say whether it's a right choice or a wrong choice, but there's something, the trying to find my thoughts here. I found that very compelling. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And original. Like, I don't know that I've really seen this story, and the way that story, her personal story about her daughter, and knowing that she's going to lose her daughter because of her new ability to understand, to perceive time and see the future, knowing that she's going to go through heartbreak with her daughter, but knowing that the time with her was worth it. Yeah. And a movie that's about trying to figure out how to communicate with an alien race. We don't speak their language. And it all works together. I mean, it's just, I can't think of this is so up my alley. So this is just it's a refreshing switch from the usual sort of summer bombast. Yeah. And what I love too was just the way that they grounded the whole experience of trying to work with these aliens, where, they have to obviously cover a lot of time. And at first, the way that the aliens communicate is they're basically seen behind glass in this smoky sort of environment, so you don't get a great look at them. But what they don't even necessarily speak, but what they do is they send this black inky sort of material that makes these circles that have different edges and nuances to them, and they become these sort of sentences. And what I thought was kind of cool about that was they established simple basic words like human or walking or whatnot. But then once they understood more, they had this little tablet. You remember that? And it's they would put up a symbol, and the tablet, after, I assume months and months and months of communication, was able to narrow it down to 10 words. Right. And I was like, that is so it. Like that just feels so tangible and real of like how that would actually happen. Like that you would eventually use a computer and come up with some sort of tablet software that could sort of decipher it, but they still hadn't perfected it. So it was like 10 relatively close words.
Right.
You know, I was like, that is just so brilliant. It just sold the story so well, you know, grounded it and made it really tangible. And I thought it was interesting. What did you think of the aliens, and what did you think about their reason for coming here? Just curious.
I mean, it's left deliberately vague.
Yeah.
I didn't spend a lot of time thinking about the whys because I don't think we're meant to.
I didn't either. I just thought I actually really liked that. I just love. I mean, their whole reason is we're going to need your help in 3,000 years. I was like, done. Got
right.
It. Like that's great.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I love that. But their design was interesting. You know, it seems like I'm kind of over alien designs these days. Growing up, it almost seems like the limitations of special effects lended themselves to making more memorable creatures in some way, if that makes sense at all. I mean, like the Predator. I know they're all somewhat humanoid for reasons having to fit actors or whatnot, even E.T. to a degree, you know. But I feel like now you can do so much that it almost becomes unbelievable.
You're right.
And you realize you're looking at an effect rather than a character. And almost like aliens are very bug-like these days, which I don't know how I feel about. But kind
of like the Super 8 monster, you know.
Yeah, and the Cloverfield monster, which I guess wasn't an alien necessarily, but
they all kind of look in that wheelhouse.
Yeah, bug-like and creepy crawly sort of creatures. But I thought these were an interesting new idea, almost like.
Well, and I think to some extent they were beholden to the way the creatures are described in the original short story.
Sure.
Which is, you know, the septopods, I think they're called, right? Mm-hmm. So they have 7 legs, and I mean, I honestly, I also saw some similarities to Signs.
Go on, explain.
Well, I mean, in the same way that it's sort of an alien invasion story from the ground floor.
Yes.
Right? And then also, I mean, that the solution for the main character lies in memories of, you know, clues that have been planted in memory. Yeah,
you're right.
Right? I mean, in Signs, it's arguably kind of silly. Mm-hmm. I didn't mind it in Signs. I know a lot of people do not like Signs. I think that's probably the last good Shyamalan movie.
Mm-hmm. I'd agree with that. Personally,
but yeah, you know, but very similar. I mean, it's the same approach where you know, we don't see the aliens very clearly, and they do the same thing in this, where even what the characters are seeing on television is obscured from us. Mm-hmm. And things like that. I think it's interesting the way Villeneuve sets it up. We don't get close to the aliens. We don't get a close-up view until Amy Adams gets a close-up view.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right.
She's our point of view character. It's kind of like Mad Max. Like that's what George Miller did with Max, where he made Max the point of view of the camera. And he does. Villeneuve does the same thing in this. And the other thing I thought about as I was watching it, I was like, man, you know, I'm really excited for Blade Runner 2.
Yeah, I had the same thought. I mean, capable hands, it seems.
Yeah, you know, even if Ridley Scott was doing Blade Runner 2, I would not be as enthused as I am that Villeneuve was doing it.
Mm-hmm. Totally agree.
Well, I think that's a good conversation about Arrival, regardless of if you've listened this far, then I don't know what to tell you without seeing it. But if you have and you haven't seen it, go see it.
Yeah, and I'm glad you checked it out. I was really looking forward to talking about it with you.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, I knew we were going to record today, so I was like, well, I gotta squeeze in a screening today, come hell or high water.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
So, and speaking of hell or high water, I still need to see that.
Do you have a screener?
I do.
Nice.
So, but that wraps up this episode of the show, and as we sort of wind things down, Brian, is there anything you want to hype up to the audience?
Just that, you know, in my daytime job, I work at Bob's Burgers, which is on Fox Sunday nights, and I highly recommend you check it out because I not only work for the show, but I'm also a fan.
There you go. Not just the president. He's not the president. Not just an employee. He's also a client.
Yep.
Well, and as for me, you can find my movie reviews at the Huffington Post as well as at my website, zakiscorner.com. That's ZAKIS Corner. That's also my Twitter handle. That's also my Instagram handle. And I'd love to have you join me on there and see what I'm posting. Some good stuff there. Also, check out the latest episode of the Nostalgia Theater Show. This is a pretty big one for me. I got to talk to one of my heroes, Patrick Duffy.
That's so cool.
The star of Dallas, a.k.a. Bobby Ewing. And if you listen to the show, you know what a big Dallas fan I am. So I got to geek out for an hour talking to Patrick Duffy about making that show.
It's so great. I've downloaded it. I haven't heard it yet.
Yeah, Brian, I want to hear your thoughts on that once you get a chance.
Yeah, can't wait.
And we'll be back. The next time you hear a regular episode of the show will be for our Rogue One coverage.
Whoa.
Yeah, crazy. It's already here. Feels like just yesterday we were talking about The Force Awakens. But
It does.
But between then and now, we will also drop a commentary track where we talk through Star Wars Episode 5. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. We did our Episode 4 commentary last year, so we want to keep that tradition alive.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we want to start a tradition, I guess.
Right.
It's not really a tradition if it's just one movie, right?
If we do it this time, then it's a tradition.
We want to start a tradition.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes. But if you have any questions or comments to send us, please email us, moviefilmpodcast@gmail.com, or hit like on our Facebook page. That's facebook.com/moviefilmpodcast. You can also hit up iTunes and leave a star rating, leave a review. You can also go to Stitcher Radio and TuneIn Radio and Google Play. Wherever you find podcasts, you'll find our show. But wherever you do, please let people know that you're digging it. If you enjoy what we're doing, leave word so that more people follow in your wake. That's the most important part of this whole transaction. And with that, on behalf of my friend Brian Hall, my name is Zaki Hassan. This has been Movie Film 107. We'll see you next time.
Welcome, friends, it's the Movie Film Podcast. Enjoy the show. Zaki